have 10 telephones here for the extremely rare and important set of 4 horseshoe-back armchairs. And I'm selling. Is everybody else out? Ladies and gentlemen, at 8,500,000, they're yours, sir.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Atelier. If you're new here, my name is Eileen. So today I'm going to be talking to you about the Huanghuali. So the Huanghuali's literal translation into Chinese is flowering pear, and it refers to the fragrant rosewood furniture. So I have recently acquired next to me this Huanghuali display cabinet. It's been on my wish list for so long, and ever since I was a little girl, because my mom is Korean and she favors black lacquered mother of pearl furniture. A lot of the times when I go to my childhood family friends' homes, for example, we had a Taiwanese lady who was married to a doctor, as well as there was another lady who was a British who was married to a local who was also a doctor and had fabulous Huanghuali furniture. So I've always coveted one, and I finally got it. I was so ecstatic. When I first saw it in the antique store that I purchased my earlier cabinet, which was Japanese, and if you would like to check out that video, I'll be linking it towards the end. It's a beautiful black lacquer furniture inlaid with ivory, and the workmanship of it is absolutely stupendous. And so I initially thought, oh, if I were to get this, it would just be another Japanese cabinet, and I so wanted to have one which is purely Chinese to honor my dad's side of the family, who is from a Chinese background. And thankfully, because of the internet, I did some research and I found a few images which were almost similar, very, very similar to the cabinet that I saw. And what made me do the research is because the flanges on the top, you can see that it's curved upwards and it resembles the rooftops in the Forbidden City. So that is what made me suspect that it was Chinese in origin, and I'm so glad I did the research, because you can see it's almost very, very similar, and these were from auction houses from the West. And because I'm a long-term customer of theirs, they made me an offer that I couldn't resist. I knew that if I let it go, this opportunity will not present itself to me again. I never expected that Huanghuali meant rosewood. I've always read about this in the papers because they did an auction a few years ago, and I can't remember whether it was Sotheby's or Christie's who auctioned off a few pieces for a few $1 million. And also, I always have admired one of the videos that I found where this gentleman collected antiques, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was based in Hong Kong, and he had some absolutely breathtaking Huanghuali furniture. You can see that it totally elevates the space that he was in. I was totally mesmerized by it. Obviously, those pieces that went for auction are actually from the Ming period, and which is way, way beyond my price point. So I always thought that I will never take it off my bucket list. So when I got this, it was a very, very special milestone for me. I'm always trying to showcase on my channel the Chinese culture, and when I did the research, I found that it should be from the 1980s period, because the modern pieces do not have such details on it. The Ming Dynasty, as you know, is very famous for its blue and white china, but it's also very famous for the Ming furniture. The contemporary design, the clean lines, defies time, and is still very, very modern and contemporary today. So they were way ahead of their time. So this reflects some of the elements, as in the curved flanges, and I also love the etchings on it. You can see there are some sceneries with the pagoda and with the bamboos, as well as the plum blossoms, which are so typical of Chinese architecture and Chinese aesthetics. I also love that the shelves are meandering softly, so that it gives a very soft look to it, instead of just being straight cabinet that makes it look very harsh. And I also love the fact that there are cabinets in it so that I can store things and interchange my collectibles around, so that I don't have to put everything out there. Otherwise it will be too overwhelming and you cannot see the beauty of each object. I also love the lattice work on it. You can see the bamboo work on it. So it has everything that I totally love about it, and I initially got it because I wanted it to complement the rosewood furniture that I'm sitting on. You can see that I'm always sitting on the settee. It is a 3-piece settee, and it has got some mother of pearl inlay at the back of the chair, and I got this more than 10 years ago, and it took me, I think, nearly 2 decades before I can actually afford a Huanghuali cabinet. You can also see that in the lamp behind me. It is Huanghuali with the carvings of the flower on the lamp that I have behind me. I didn't switch it on today because I think it's bright enough, otherwise it will be too overexposed. And a lot of the times, people in the past, especially in the Ming and Qing period, collected Huanghuali furniture as a showcase in their homes, and also so that it can showcase their treasured items. So the characteristics of the Huanghuali, number one is the color. So it can range from an amber yellow color, which has mellowed over time. So if you look at a lot of the Ming furniture that was auctioned off, that has already mellowed over time. It's been, I mean, it is centuries old, but you can still see that the workmanship, the patina, the absolute attention to detail is simply second to none, and that is why people are willing to pay millions for it. And as I mentioned, it elevates the space completely. You can see how well appointed this collector and this connoisseur is, how refined his eye and his taste is. It is a testament to how wonderful this gentleman's life must have been. And also, number two, they're going for the wood grain. So a lot of the times, even the auction houses like Sotheby's or Christie's acknowledge the ghostly faces, or some would call it mountain peaks. I prefer to refer to them as mountain peaks instead of ghostly faces. And a perfect example of this is that when you have 3 similar cups and one of them commanded a much higher price than the other 2, is simply because of the wood grain. It has a more distinct mountain peak. Number 3, the details of it, the workmanship, and the lattice work is what makes it stand out. Some people prefer clean contemporary lines, but I prefer some etchings on it. I think it's much more feminine that way. It makes it look softer and not so masculine. The main reason that I am collecting it is not solely because of the investment value, but because of my love for Chinese culture. Truthfully speaking, when I was younger, I was always after the Western culture. So it is an honor and a privilege for me to own a piece of my dad's Chinese culture and heritage in my home. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. While I am a temporary custodian of this cabinet, because I've seen some videos where young Chinese people, they're just selling off their Huanghuali furniture for rock bottom prices to junkyards, and then replacing it with mass-produced plastic furniture, or not even wooden furniture. It's like with laminated wood, and they don't realize how valuable that piece of furniture is. They don't realize the beauty of it. So I'm always trying to showcase this and hopefully be able to reach out to more younger people to appreciate their culture. And I hope to see you again in my next video. So till then, take good care and see you again. Goodbye.